Well, the day's finally come. It's kind of like giving, I don't know, a new painting or a sculpture away, or releasing it to the world. It's alive. No, we're talking about this 2¼ inch spacer. It's a spacer plate that I made from a design basically in my own head. And I like to say that this design is in the public domain now, after all of this. It's something that you might want to use on your car, but there is another idea I have for, let us say, better operating temperatures for the drag racer as opposed to this one, which probably works better on oval tracks or autocross type of racing. But aside from that, this thing should help give Just Mopar Joe a little bit more of an edge. And some of you have seen him using the 2-inch plate recently. And I asked him to do that because that's as close as he's going to get to this 2¼ inch plate. So I want to make sure he's not running too lean, that he's going to be able to try to adjust any carburation issues long before he gets to No Name Nationals. So we're at the end of August, and it's time to let her go. But I'll show you some of the things that I did to it. And what we'll do is go right on back to the desk where I started this whole adventure with that big chunk of aluminum. You may remember this. 2¼ inches. 2¼ inches. So let's get back to it. And I also want to say thanks to John Wilburn and Dallas Brown, and of course Buzz up there at the Roadkill, and anybody else who's given me a thumbs up or subscribed to the channel, and those of you who I've met along the way. It's been really good. It's been fantastic to see the generational transmission of old school backing up the new school. So let's take a look and finish this up so I can get it off to Just Mopar Joe. Here we go. And here it is. I don't know if you can see it. It's very shiny. The Air Claw 1 with its veins. It's very, like I said, it's very shiny. Joe, I'm probably gonna run a little patch cloth here through the mounting holes, but make sure you, as you well know, when you get something back from the machine shop, you'll want to clean it up yourself, double check. So double check my work, please. Here's the initial shape. The black spaces here, the front dog ears I painted black, and not for any reason, just because visual effect. If the camera can see it, I elected not to do 3 ports on each corner. I elected to do 2, and that's because if in fact this generates a lot of disturbance behind the dog ear, which typically with that air coming off the front of the car may have a little vacuum here, and this is why I wanted to put these holes to eliminate that vacuum and fill this as a column of air to go across the fins and help cool down the back of this thing. The front, as you remember from Joe's initial readings that he took under the hood of the car, the front of his carburetor and spacer were relatively cooler, especially the intake manifold was relatively cooler than everything in the back. And that included the fuel line. Now I know he's changing the size of the fuel line, but just in case, what I did was that on that side of the hole, that side of the passenger side of the air claw. I brought the top port out a little bit, directing it kind of up and towards the back of the carburetor and the fuel line as it came into the carburetor here. Now, another thing you may not be able to see is I have 2 ports on each back corner. So this is where the claw comes in, where the section that has your mounting hole is elevated, so it acts like a set of fingers, and it's pulling in really hard on those vanes. And that's going to generate, as the De La Valle style valves or jets, generate some force there in the back. And this is an area that generally probably has a vacuum when the car's going down the strip at 50, 60, 70 miles an hour and above. So this will help move the air behind it and hopefully get some air back underneath the float bowl of the carburetor. And what happened the other day was one of my YouTube subscribers, Tim62, geez, Tim, I'm sorry, they beat me over the head. You know what, let me look it up, because I think it was the right guy. Well, just when you want your own page to come up, it's never going to come up. So, hey, bear with me. Yeah, Tim's 72 Demon, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but I think it was Tim. Said I should get this engraved. I said, yeah, that's not a bad idea. I kind of had the same feeling about it. And there was an engraving shop in our town. Little did I know the way things have been in the last 2 years. Not only did that shop close, a gun store closed, and a bunch of other stores closed that were in the same complex. So I was so put off by that, I said, the hell with it, I'm bringing it home and use my my Dremel and scratch it in. So that's what I did. I scratched it in Air Claw 1, and then I took a Sharpie, which is also one of Tim's ideas, and I kind of outlined it in black. I know that's not going to be permanent, but that's what happened there. So I also decided to give it, see if you can get that, I don't know. Maybe you can anyway. I attempted to punch just like you would punch numbers on engine parts, because I've got those punches. NNN 2022, so that would be No Name Nationals 2022. And down below it I have the serial number of this particular unit, that is XX1. And on the top and the back I tapped in the word top, so it's very small, but Joe, so when you're looking at this thing, just know, that's top. Tells you where the top is. The clearances were okay on the AFB. Hopefully that'll be the same on the 4150 style. I don't have a 4150 base plate. All I had was the adapter for one of those. So, Joe, if you get this and any of the linkage gets in the way, you can drill this stuff or mark it off and grind it. You just grind it off, do whatever you got to do to make it fit, and make sure you, and this isn't just for Joe, this is for anybody who would try this. Make sure that that carburetor sits on there and everything opens up freely, that there's no problems with any of the throttle plates popping open. So I think that'll about do it. I do have, let me see, I've got some specialty washers, and if you've, actually I've got the book right here, What Do You Know? And just to prove it, even David Vizard speaks about that in his book, to keep things cool, like the carburetor. If you really want to go after it for the little stuff, you're going to want to use some kind of a non-conducting thermal washer between the base plate of the carburetor and the mounting nut. So what I did is I sourced some very special washers. They come from a company called McMaster, and these are made in the United States. One set are mil-spec plastic washers, and they have a hardness that's right about, the shore hardness is about 55D, and they are good for chemical resistance and good to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm throwing those in. There's also a different set. Yeah, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, here it is. McMaster car, so that's where I got these from. No, they didn't pay me any money to say that. So here's the black ones. These are chemical resistant, and they have also an ASTM, this particular one, ASTM standard met by stainless steel washers, but they're plastic. These are plastic, and they're good to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. So Joe, you can try either one, but we'll need you to take some very specific readings when it comes to that. Don't you go running any moonshine. That stuff's illegal. Don't mess with it. So Joe, I'm going to sign this for you. This also was Tim's idea. So let me sign it. And LB Bruins 79. There it is.